Hello, welcome back to Armchair Armoury, and it has finished at the Emirates Stadium for the third time in this fixture period. Arsenal 2, Leeds United 0. So we are through to the quarter-finals of the Carabao Cup. It wasn't a very entertaining game, to be honest. I mean, it was pretty even for the first half. The first thing to mention, obviously, is that there was 9 changes from the game against Aston Villa. So we had Leno in goal, replacing Aaron Ramsdale. We had Cedric replacing Tomiyasu, Kolasinac replacing Nuno Tavares, Maitland-Niles and El Neni replacing Lokonga and Partey, Holding replacing Gabriel, Pepe replacing Aubameyang, Martinelli replacing Saka, and Nketiah replacing Lacazette. The only players to remain from that game were Emile Smith-Rowe in the number 10 position and Ben White at right centre back. I mean, the first half was when the lineup came out, I thought, well, yeah, fair enough. It's a decent lineup and it's a good enough lineup to win the game. But I did think with Nketiah up front, with Eddie up front, I did think that he struggles to hit the ground running quite often and can be quite wasteful at times. So I was worried that it would take us a long time to score. And to be fair, there were moments where we felt a little bit disconnected. It felt like a B team, essentially. It felt like a team that hasn't played together very often. So it was kind of like, a little bit disjointed. That we were getting into the box and all this kind of stuff, but we weren't taking our chances. And to be fair, Leeds defended very, very well. They're a very hard team to play against. I just heard Alan Smith say that on Sky Sports, which I believe is true. First half was a little bit was okay. I think we didn't play badly. I just think it was very disjointed and disconnected. Things just weren't adding up. We came out second half pretty much the same as before. I think overall, I forgot to mention that Leeds probably had the best chance of the first half, where Leno was forced to save a Jack Harrison shot. We came out in the second half, things were pretty much the same. Then Arteta is forced to bring on Callum Chambers, replacing Ben White, who went down injured. Hopefully it's nothing serious, because we probably do need him to be fit for Leicester on Saturday. And literally as soon as Chambers came on, corner comes in, ball headed across the box. Chambers is the first to react, heads in, just crosses the line, and it's 1-0 to Arsenal. It reminded me of, I can't remember when it was either Wenger's penultimate season or Wenger's last season, when Eddie came on and scored those 2 goals, and we were 1-0 down to Norwich, who were in the Championship at the time. And it sort of reminded me of that in a way, like this instant impact. I've already seen a lot of people on social media saying that, dish on it in a way and say that, oh yeah, it's got nothing to do with Arteta's substitutions, it's just a fluke accident and all this kind of stuff, which is fair enough. But they did go to the set piece coach pretty much straight after scoring that goal. So maybe not, who knows. And then the second goal was just a mistake in the Leeds defence that Nketiah pounced on, and I actually thought he was going to miss, because he took a very limp touch to trickle it in, to let it trickle into the goal, and I thought it was just going to brush past the far post, but luckily it didn't. And to be fair, he actually had quite a decent game. He was getting into good areas, he was chasing down, and he was doing what he's supposed to do as a striker, and obviously he got his goal. So I heard him being interviewed at the end of the game, and he was asked about whether this is a chance for him to show the manager that he's worth starting. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think, while Aubameyang and Lacazette are around, Balogun and Nketiah don't get into this team unless they're injured, in my opinion. Again, they're both players with great talent and bags of potential, but I just don't think, the other 2 strikers are here, that's going to happen. And I feel that Nketiah is probably not going to be here for very much longer. I think he'll only be here until January. If not, then he'll be going in the summer. I think Balogun is probably seen as the third striker. I mean, if we lose Lacazette in the summer as well, then there'll probably be someone that will be brought in to replace him. So yeah, I don't think Nketiah has much future here, to be honest, which is unfortunate because I kind of like him as a player. He can be frustrating. Speaking of frustrating, Pepe was very frustrating this evening. I had a conversation with G Talks Arsenal on Twitter, and I said to him how he reminds me of Luis Mendoza from the Mighty Ducks films. For those of you that have never seen the Mighty Ducks films, it's basically from the second and third one. So in the second one, he's introduced as this like really fast skater because it's based on ice hockey, but he can't slow down, he can't control himself, and that's kind of what Pepe reminds me of. Like, he'll beat a man with like amazing skills, like blistering pace, and then at the last minute he'll fall over himself, which is actually what happened in this game. And I have to agree that he probably is one of the most frustrating and divisive players in Arsenal's squad at this moment in time. I think that's just mainly because of the amount of money we paid for him, because he's not delivering based on that, essentially. But in general, again, I heard Alan Smith say a good win, and I'd say that. I mean, we didn't play, we played okay, but we didn't play as well as we played against teams like Spurs and Aston Villa, but we did just about enough, and we took our chances to win the game, and Leeds didn't really have much in response, to be fair. So I think it's a good confidence booster because we're in the quarter-finals of a competition, regardless of how people feel about that. To me, that's a good thing. You've got a chance of winning a trophy. I don't know who I would like to see in the next round. I saw Chelsea, they went straight over on Sky to Chelsea and Southampton in a penalty shootout. Chelsea won that 4-3. And we'll go to the next round. I think the draw is tomorrow because there's still a couple of games to play. I'm not really sure who I want, to be honest. I don't want, at this stage, I wouldn't want like City, Chelsea or Liverpool, because even when they're with their second string teams, they can still tear us apart, you know. I'd like to keep it at least, you know, second string until the final or the semi-final if we can, because if we're bringing in, like, I felt a bit kind of gutted that Ben White went off because I was like, oh, you could have just played Pablo Murray, but Arteta said at the end of the game that he was injured, so he couldn't bring him in. Oh yeah, speaking of his post-match interview, Mikel, if you ever see this, make sure you look in a mirror and check your teeth before you go on television, because I bet that's all over the internet now, that he had something in his teeth when he was being interviewed, and just before the end he like did the thing that you do when you realise you've got food in your teeth or something like that, where you like put your tongue in the area and just kind of like wiggle it around until it disappears, until you don't feel the block there anymore. It was funny. I was sitting there thinking to myself, has he got something in his teeth? And then I was like, oh yeah, he does. But yeah, that, all jokes aside, no, it was a decent performance. Not the best, but enough to get through. And let's go on and win it. So yeah, we've got Leicester on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff at the King Power Stadium. Oh, going to be a tough game because we've got a good record at the King Power, but you know, Vardy always scores against us, and yeah, it's going to be a difficult game regardless. But I think we just have to keep the momentum going. I think that's 8 games in a row now we've not lost, so we just have to keep that momentum going. And a bit more good news is that I just read that Ben White went off because he had a bug rather than he was injured. So he went off because he thought he was going to shit himself, or he did shit himself. One of the two, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I will speak to you again, hopefully by the end of the week, previewing the Leicester game. So until then, take care and stay safe.